Today is going to be Victoria Poshkoff and Travis Farschman. They both work for the data governance team along with Collibra, and their focus is Collibra and helping build out the data catalog at ASU. All right, Tori, all yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for joining us today. So as stated, today we will be talking about the data catalog in Collibra. Myself and Travis Farschman and Kelly Briner compose the data governance team here at ASU. Today's presentation, we're going to give an overview of Collibra, its layout and functionalities, including a demonstration on how to do a search. And then we will also discuss how you can help advance the catalog to make it the best that it can be. Before we begin with our presentation, we're going to ask you a few questions. So Haley, if you could put up one of those polls. So we have two easy questions. The first one is, how familiar are you with Collibra? You've never heard of it but never logged in, looked around a bit, or actively using it. And then also we'd like to know what data you use the most: student, HR, financial, and if there's any other data you use, please put that in the chat. We will be collecting these answers and to help us with our progress. So looks like most people here have never heard of Collibra, which is why you are here. That's awesome. So this will be really new to most of you guys. But obviously the point of this presentation, you may have seen some of these slides before too. We've had presentations at RWOG and other sort of conferences. So if you have seen them before, just bear with us. And looks like most of you use student data, which also a lot of the information that is in Collibra right now, we've been working with Josh Johnson. And so most of that data is student driven. So should be helpful for all you guys. So thank you so much for your responses. We really appreciate that. So with that, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And we'll start the presentation. So what is Collibra? Collibra is the data governance tool at ASU. It houses ASU's data catalog. You can get to it by going to asu.collibra.com. It's single sign-on enabled, so anyone with an ASU right will have access to it. So you don't need to put in any ServiceNow tickets or anything like that. It's with your ASU right. We have a Slack channel. It's just Collibra. We ask that you join that because that's going to be where we're going to post all of our updates. If you have any feedback or questions for us, we've been putting training videos on there. Travis just posted a template on there today that you can fill out to help fill stuff in Collibra. So that you will hear us talk about that Slack channel quite a bit throughout this presentation, where we will plug that a lot. So please, we ask that you join that channel. When you log on to Collibra, you're going to see the dashboard. So this is like the home page. And it is maintained by us, the data governance team. It currently has a welcome note giving you an introduction to Collibra and the purpose of it, an asset counter showing the current number of each of the different assets in Collibra, a list of the top 10 most viewed assets, the browser, which lays out the community structure, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and you can navigate to any asset from here if you know where it's located. And there's also a search bar up here. So if you're looking for a specific asset, or as you can see later in our search demonstration, you can use that bar right there. From the dashboard, you can easily navigate to the business glossary. In the application bar up here in the upper left-hand corner, you just click on this little folder, that'll bring you to the business glossary. This business glossary is designed to be a one-stop shop for all of the business definitions related to ASU. We currently have about 1,000 terms in there. Most of them are related to HR and finance. There are a few student terms in there. And beyond just the name of the term and the definition, It includes other fields such as acronym, because we know how important that is. We know we've all, had a list of acronyms and not really known what they meant. So that's going to be in Collibra to help you guys. And then it also has the definition source. So if you want to know exactly where we got that definition or what it pertains to, you can copy the definition source and go straight to that website. And we also have the data stewardship team, so the people that are responsible for that asset. You can also navigate to the catalog from the application bar. All you have to do is click on that data store icon. For those of you that don't know what a data store icon looks like, I think it kind of looks like a stack of coins. That's what it reminds me of. So if you're like, gosh, I know she said data store, just look for the stack of coins next to the folder. That's going to be the data catalog. The data catalog houses all of our other assets that aren't in the business glossary. So the two most important of those are the data dictionary, which will cover the difference between the data dictionary, business glossary, and technology assets. So that's where you can just click on those. It'll take you, just like the business glossary, it'll give you a list of everything and all the fields, and then you can search through that. So you may be asking yourself, Tori, what are the differences between all these data assets? You're throwing these terms at me. I don't know what they mean. So here is the difference between the data assets in Collibra. So the data dictionary is going to be tied to physical data assets. So the most common of those are schema, table, and column. And I have some examples of a schema, a table, and a column right there. The business glossary is not tied to a data location, and it contains business terms. A business term is the definition of commonly used terminology and acronyms here at ASU. So an example of a business term is academic deceit. And then you can see the definition there and the definition source. In Collibra, you'll see these little symbols next to assets. So this little blue box with a BT in it, that signifies that it's a business term. So that's kind of, a clue to you that, okay, I'm looking at a business term. I'm not looking at a column. And then the last data asset is technology assets, and they pertain to the technical data in an organization. So right now in Collibra, we have the S3 bucket and then the ServiceNow customer applications. So the ServiceNow customer applications are a system. So you'll see this little red box with SISYS next to it. And again, that's your key that it is a system. All right, so now that we've introduced you guys to Collibra and kind of given you its layout and talked about some of the data assets, we're going to take a closer look at the data that is in Collibra. So, my mouse is going crazy. So this is the data model. This is going to pertain to the data dictionary. So the current structure of the data dictionary is very simple. It just has the name, the asset type, the domain description. We've been working with Josh Johnson to expand the data model because we want to include some metadata points that are going to create a comprehensive data dictionary. So these bolded items you see here, those are new fields, new attributes that we have added that we're working on getting into Collibra, into the data model and filling those out. And then anything you see below the line here, those are attributes that pertain to Collibra. So the asset ID is something that's used in Collibra to help identify it, make sure we don't have duplicates. The community, I talked about that a little bit. That is how it's organized, same with domain type and domain. And then asset type is, again, those assets I just talked about. So asset type for schema, table, column. So we do have slides with each of those attributes listed in there. We have one for schema, we have one for table, and we have one for column. I'm not going to go through and read those all to you guys because I'm sure you would all fall asleep on me. So these slides will be posted in Collibra, or I'm sorry, will be posted in the Collibra Slack channel when we are done with this presentation. So you can go ahead and take a look at those when we're all finished. So like I said, schema is here. Then tables, here's all the attributes and their definitions. And you can see those ones that are below the line. We did put a note that they are for Collibra purposes. And then our columns. So assets currently in the data dictionary. We have Redshift assets, ODS assets, Oracle, and the OCAD Tableau MySQL assets. Those are all ingested in Collibra. You will see all those schemas, tables, and columns. The assets that are going to be ingested in the future that we are currently working on are Alteryx. So Travis and his team are working right now on getting those in there. Also the data lake. And then down the road, we'd like to include user databases in there as well. So those are our future plans. Definitions in the data dictionary. So right now, these are the tables that we have ingested with definitions for some of the columns into the data dictionary. We are working on these tables actively. These tables, we worked again with Josh Johnson to pick these tables out. These were kind of, the most used tables, most important to people. Again, a lot of these relate to student data, as you can see. So that question you guys answered in the beginning where you said, hey, I work mostly with student data. That's what a lot of this is. The reasons these tables were ingested versus these is because we had majority of these definitions filled out already. We had sources for them. We could source that, actually get some definitions in there, whereas these tables didn't really have a lot of definitions. So there wasn't really anything to upload into Collibra. And most of the definitions that we have at this time are those business definitions. We don't have a lot of technical definitions in there. So we're still working on that. We don't have a set date for when we want this to be accomplished, but we are actively working on getting this information into Collibra. Like I said, we're working with Josh Johnson. We're on people's sprints. We're bugging them, making sure, hey, did you fill this out? Can we put this in? This is something that takes time, and it may be something where we get the business descriptions in there first, and the technical descriptions and other information will follow later. So you've heard me talk about communities. So communities are those where you saw on the browser, what you saw listed there, those are called communities. They are organized by data location. So where I had those assets that had been uploaded, Redshift, the data warehouse, ODS, those are the communities. It just made navigation and search functionalities a bit easier and cleaner instead of doing them by data governance area or executive sponsor or data stewardship team. But we will be adding executive sponsor areas as tags so that if somebody is an executive sponsor or they're a data steward for a specific area and they want to pull all of their information, they will be able to do that. So in a minute, we will be going into Collibra and doing a search demonstration. But first, we're going to give you guys some useful tips on how to do your search. And just as a heads up, after our demonstration, we're going to ask you guys to do your own search. So you may want to log into Collibra now so you can follow along. And as I said, that website is just asu.collibra.com, and it's single sign-on enabled. If you have any issues getting in, please let us know. So when it comes to searching, oh, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
It has been posted in the chat. So if you don't know the full name of the asset that you are looking for, we recommend that you put a wildcard in the beginning of your search, because this is going to help maximize your search results. If you don't use that wildcard, it may turn up no results, it may turn up 1 or 2, but it may not be what you're looking for. So it's really key if you don't know the full table name, column name business term, anything like that. But then there's also many filter and display options within Collibra to help narrow those search results down. Collibra is not Google, so it's not what you're used to where you type in a term and it knows what you're thinking and it gives you exactly what you want. You are going to have to work with it a little bit to help narrow down those results and get you exactly what you want. And as we fill out the data catalog and get more information in there, the search will become easier. Now, assets in Collibra can appear in multiple places. So for example, a table can be in multiple schemas. And in that case, in your search results, each schema is going to appear. So using the full name of your asset is going to help distinguish between those. And it is set to display the full name. So the full name, you may be asking, what is that? That has the location of the asset. So from our example from earlier, this was our column name. Well, the full name of that asset is going to have the schema, the table, and then the column name. The print name is just the asset that is being defined. So again, from our example, if you're just looking for this column, that's going to be the print name. We would also like to note that you cannot search for data within a column. So if you're like, hey, I want to know what this person's employee ID is, you cannot search for that. You can search for employee ID, but you cannot look for a specific employee ID. This is for security purposes. We wanted to have the full catalog open to everybody, so there is no real data in Collibra. And in case this is a lot of information for you, we do have a video posted on the Collibra Slack channel. There it is again. And that will guide you, I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes. It's basically everything I just went over here. And again, gives a little introduction to Collibra. So you don't have to memorize the slide. You can go into the channel and watch that search video. Okay. So now I'm going to log on to Collibra. All right, see if Duo works with me today. Oh, it worked. So again, here's that dashboard, that I talked about earlier, basically the home page, and there's the application bar I was talking about. So our search example is from Where's That Data Slack channel. A lot of the questions posted on there are something that can be answered in Collibra right now or something that we can ingest in there. So this person wanted to know, what is the difference between home department ID and department ID in the employee job table? So because they're asking for 2 terms in one table, I'm going to search for the table name instead of searching for 2 different terms and then trying to compare it. So I'm going to use that wild card because I'm not sure of the entire name. I just know it contains E&P job. So over here, so this is all of the filters that you can use for Collibra. So I know I'm looking for a table. Over here are display options. So I want to display the description. So I click display options, select fields, and description. Again, this is all in the video that's posted on the Collibra Slack channel. Update, save. So I'm going to look for the one that has the description. So here's the description of the employee job view table, employee and pay period. So I'm going to use that table.
Tori?
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat. What is the difference between Collibra's data dictionary and this one on the analytics site? There is a URL there also. It's the UTO Analytics Enterprise Data Dictionary that the URL is referencing.
What is the difference between the data dictionary and the one that is on the analytics site? I believe Collibra's data dictionary is more thorough, and the analytics data dictionary, it just doesn't have as much information. We are actually using that analytics data dictionary as a source to put information into Collibra. Okay, so back to our search example. So here I am in the table. I'm in the employee job profile table. All of the information that you need for an asset, you can find. It'll be up here in Collibra. So here's the community, here's the domain, you know, what type are you in? We're in the table. And then right here, it has the schema and the table name again. So Collibra again has these little symbols. So these 4 little boxes right here, that signifies that it's a schema. And the one that looks like a table signifies that you're in a table. So once you're in a table, you can still do another search. So you don't have to scroll through and find home department ID and department ID. You can just search up here and do department ID, enter, and there they are. So you can't see the full definition. You can use these little drop-down arrows. So there it is. So that's your difference between department ID and home department ID. All right, so now that you guys have seen Collibra and I've done my little search demonstration, I'm going to post an interactive question in the chat. So our question is, in the Redshift data warehouse, what schema is the ASU admin applicant table in? Now, some of you may know this off the top of your head, but don't shout out the answer all at once. Please log on to Collibra and do just a quick search in Collibra. There is no prize, unfortunately. You just get a thumbs up and a gold star. Congratulations, you've made it into Collibra. We'll give everybody about 2 to 3 minutes to answer that question. Yes, there we go. So I have the full name of that asset, so I can just copy and paste it into the search bar. I click enter. A lot of stuff comes out. You'll notice in my question, I specifically said what community to look in. So that's where you would go over here and you would click the Redshift data warehouse. And then you can see the full name. That first part of it is the schema. So the schema that this table is in the Redshift Physical Data Dictionary is ASU students. So good job, everybody. Thank you for participating in our search. We really appreciate it. You know, we just wanted to get you guys into Collibra so you could kind of play around with it. You can start seeing what it's like. So we do encourage you on your own time to go in there and just start searching fields and seeing what else is in there. So at this time, I'm going to turn things over to my coworker, Travis, who is going to explain how you can help advance the data catalog.
Thanks, Tori. Great job. That was a lot of fun to do. And as somebody who lives in Collibra, it's fun to have other people go in there and search around. Yeah, so like she said, we have about maybe 5 to 10% of the tables have real meaningful metadata in there. And we're really looking to change that in this coming year. That's our major goal this year. So we have 2 different ways that we'll be looking to advance the catalog as well as the glossary. First, what you see here is a sample outline of the web app that we're creating. The idea would be that pre-approved users such as SMEs or data stewards who have great knowledge of data would be able to go in, log in with their ASU Ride ID, specify down to the community, domain, any asset level would be a schema table column, and then any characteristic of that, whether it be date created, last date updated, a note, a SQL query related to the asset, any kind of meaningful data that would help a user. The SMEs will be able to log into this and use it. We're in the final stages of development. We're literally just working with the cloud architecture team to make sure that, you know, we're abiding by all the security guidelines, so we don't have people that don't go to ASU come in and just absolutely wreck our catalog, because that would be really disappointing. On the other side, if you're a normal user but you notice that there's something missing, or you can add a really meaningful piece of information to an asset, we have just posted templates in the Collibra Slack channel. You'll see one that's a data glossary template, and then another that is a PDD, which is a physical data dictionary template, and that's related to the catalog. You can go in, it's a very basic outline. It's just the name of the asset. For the data glossary, it's like, what's the definition of your term? How does it relate? Does it have an acronym? Kind of a lot of the things that you saw when you went through Collibra and the actual data glossary. Again, because it's just an outline, if there's more information that isn't listed there, you can always add another field. Same thing with the physical data dictionary. If you notice that there's a technical definition missing or something, please by all means fill that out and reach out to either Tori or myself on Slack, or just post on the Collibra Slack channel saying that you've completed a template, and we will look to import it as soon as possible. You guys know this data infinitely more than we do. We just hope to kind of increase data visibility and help wrangle all of this data coming across from one of the largest universities in the country and make it so that we're all speaking the same language and that none of us are lost when we're trying to do our jobs amongst the massive sea of data that we work with every day. Outside of that, go ahead, Tori, and advance to the next slide.
Thank you so much, Travis. I just want to reiterate, like Travis said, it's really going to take a community to build out this data catalog. So if you have information or a subject matter expert, please post that in the Collibra Slack channel. Oh, sorry, I said it again. Or reach out to Travis or myself. Now we have some additional resources. And again, there it is, the Collibra Slack channel. Oh my goodness. Yes, please join that channel. That is going to be the best way to get information and get updates on what is going on in Collibra and with the data governance team. We also have a few additional resources for you guys. If you really want to know more about Collibra, what a community is, what a domain is, what all those terms mean, and you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of how it works, these are going to be great resources from you. They're right from Collibra. So go ahead, check those out. We also have a Google Doc down here on how to link to Collibra. So if you have a website that contains a business term or a column term that you want to link to Collibra, so you don't have to put the definition under it, the user can just click it. It'll take them right to Collibra and give them that definition. That Google Doc is going to be your resource for that. So this concludes our presentation for today. We want to thank you for joining us. Before we get to your guys' questions, we do have one last poll we wanted to ask you. So if Haley, if you could throw that poll up. And can you guys see it, or do I have to stop sharing my screen? It's up, perfect. So what do you want to see in Collibra? Are you more interested in business terms? Do you want more descriptions of tables and columns? Or are you a data person and you want to know all the logic behind the tables and columns and all the SQL data? Or is there something else you want to know? And if there is other information you want, please put that into the chat.
I like Christina's answer in the chat, both B and C. I think we're all right there with you, Christina.
Yeah, it looks like we got most of the poll answers in, so we are going to end polling. And yes, I do like that answer of both B and C. Looks like most people do want those descriptions of the tables and columns. Thank you so much, you guys, for that feedback. We are definitely going to use that to help guide us and where we go. Okay, so now that we have concluded our presentation and our polls, we will start, I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll start taking your guys' questions for us. Looks like we've already had some answers in the chat, so thank you, Travis, for doing that.
And Tori, real quick, before we ask for some others, just in case people were not paying attention in the chat, Joshua asked if we wanted to contact or learn more about the data stewardship team that is listed. What is the best way to do that? For example, ICA data. Travis responded that he would recommend going into the hashtag talk-data-2-me Slack channel and ask who specifically runs that team. They should be able to help. Also, Sarah had asked, Collibra doesn't pull the actual data, correct? And Travis responded, for security purposes, we can't have actual data, but you can find where the data assets you want exist and then request access on ServiceNow. And also Carla had asked, in regards to functionality, how does Collibra relate to my reports? That has gone unanswered so far.
So my reports has actual reports in it, so you can actually pull real data. Collibra is just going to give you information about the underlying tables. We are currently working on getting Dash in there. So Dash is the placement, for lack of a better word, for my reports. So we are working with that team to get information in there and describe the reports that are included in Dash. But yes, there is nothing, you're not going to have the actual data in there. It's just going to tell you about the tables and columns that are helping drive those reports.
There was one more question. If a data column or table exists in more than one source, i.e. ASU _admin _applicant is in both Oracle and Redshift, what is the difference between them? Which one should be used? And Travis just answered, Oracle is getting phased out, so Redshift should be the go-to moving forward. Since people still use Oracle, we have kept in Collibra, but still use Oracle that have been kept in Collibra, but soon it will be legacy.
And then like Tori said, a lot of data is very linear in that it goes from one system to another or from one source to a system back to a database, whatever the case may be. So we're going to see that maybe we'll have some PeopleSoft information in there and that it also exists in Redshift, but you might see that in a user database or something. So you will see that little bit of repeat in there. It's just important is to look at the full name and realize the scope of what you're trying to do. And if, you're looking to do some kind of sustainable civil report or something, look to use Redshift, look to use the ODS, look to use the stuff that we're heavily supporting and we're putting more resources into to better support you guys.
Do you have a publicly available roadmap? We do not at this time. Things on our roadmap, though, include more stuff like we said, the user database, getting Alteryx in there, the data lake, other sort of reporting stuff, so Dash. Also, if you want, I'm going to do a plug for the hackathon on Thursday. If you want more information on Collibra or want to give your ideas on how we can build out that data catalog, during that hackathon on Thursday at 9:30, there will be a Collibra session, a data documentation and search session, which is obviously Collibra. I will be in there. I will be the facilitator for that. So please join that if you do have more questions or if there's something we didn't cover today. And once again, that Collibra Slack channel is going to be the place to reach out to us and let us know, or, you don't want to post it in a public forum, feel free to reach out to Travis or myself, and we will answer your questions the best that we can.
Going once, going twice. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.